The dinosaur poem would have to wait. That's all I could think as I yanked my confused 9-year-old from the backstage lineup, ignoring his teacher's protests. Nolan's voice still echoed in my ear, urgent, terrified, certain. Get out. Now. In 13 years of marriage, I'd never heard that tone from my steady, rational husband. So while 200 parents settled in for a night of elementary school theatrics, I was speeding away from Westlake, my son's accusations burning my ears. I didn't know then that within 30 minutes, that same auditorium would erupt in chaos. That my husband would be detained for causing panic. That my family would become both villains and targets in a conspiracy none of us understood yet. All I knew was that when Nolan Raines told me to run, I ran, and it saved our son's life. I never thought my ordinary life would shatter with a single phone call. But that's exactly what happened on the night of Beckett's school talent showcase. The auditorium buzzed with excitement as parents shuffled in, claiming seats with jackets and purses. I waved to Sarah Thompson, who'd been my walking buddy since our boys started 3rd grade together. Her son Jake and my Beckett had been inseparable since kindergarten. Saved you a spot, Sarah called, patting the empty seat beside her. Her blonde hair was swept into a neat ponytail, making her look younger than her 35 years. Where's Nolan tonight? Still at work, I sighed, settling in. System crash at the district office. He promised he'd make it for Beckett's part if he could. My husband Nolan had been working late all week. As the lead IT specialist for our regional school board, he kept everything from attendance systems to security cameras running smoothly across 12 schools. Not glamorous work, but it paid our bills and kept him close to home. Ryan's working late too, Sarah said, scrolling through her phone. Men and their excuses. I smiled politely, but didn't join in the complaint. Nolan wasn't making excuses. He'd never missed anything important in Beckett's life if he could help it. 9 years of perfect attendance at every milestone, from first steps to last week's baseball game. The lights dimmed as Principal Wilson walked onto the stage, tapping the microphone. Welcome, parents and family members, to our annual spring talent showcase. While enthusiastic applause filled the room, I glanced at my phone. No messages from Nolan yet. Across town, Nolan Raines stared at his computer screen, rubbing his tired eyes. The server had crashed twice today, and he'd spent hours restoring backup files while fielding angry calls from administrators. Damn it, he muttered, noticing another alert pop up. Someone had attempted to access a restricted area of the school network, one that housed security protocols, building plans, and staff information. He clicked through several screens, checking logs against authorized users. Most attempts were innocent. Teachers accessing the wrong folder, administrators clicking the wrong link. But this was different. Multiple attempts, systematically testing different passwords. Nolan pulled up the access logs, finding a strange pattern. Someone had downloaded the complete floor plans for Westlake Elementary, Beckett's school, 3 times in the past week. The timestamp showed activity at 2 a.m. on Tuesday, then again Wednesday evening. The surveillance system logs showed something even more disturbing, a 4-hour gap in the camera feed covering the east entrance of the school 3 nights ago. Not a malfunction. Deleted. Nolan's throat tightened. He dialed his supervisor's extension. Greg, it's Nolan. I'm seeing some unusual activity in the system. Someone's been accessing restricted files for Westlake. Probably maintenance or someone from administration, Greg replied, distracted. We've got contractors updating the fire system this month. At 2 in the morning? And they deleted security footage. Nolan countered. Look, we're swamped with the server crash. Just log it, and we'll look into it Monday. The call ended, leaving Nolan with a sinking feeling. He searched deeper, cross-referencing login attempts with the employee database. A name popped up, Thomas Alston.
Tommy.
Nolan remembered him, a former IT assistant let go 8 months ago after a mental breakdown in the staff lounge. He'd thrown a chair through a window, screaming about being watched. The official reason for termination was health concerns, but everyone knew the real story. Tommy had vanished after that. No forwarding address, no social media presence. Nolan's hands moved frantically across the keyboard, checking what else Tommy might have accessed. A ping from the school's financial system caught his attention. Someone had used an old staff discount code at Anderson's Sporting Goods last week, a code that should have been deactivated. The purchase. Ammunition. Nolan's blood ran cold. He grabbed his phone, dialing my number with shaking hands. I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket just as Mrs. Peterson's fourth graders finished their recorder rendition of Ode to Joy. I slipped out to the lobby, seeing Nolan's name on the screen. "Hey, are you on your way?" I asked, watching parents mill about during the brief intermission.
Listen carefully.
His voice was tight, controlled in a way that instantly alarmed me. "I need you to get Beckett and leave the school. Right now."
What?
"His class is about to perform."
What are you talking about?
"Take Beckett and get out.
Now."
The urgency in his voice sent a chill down my spine. "Nolan, you're scaring me. What's going on?" "I can't explain everything right now. But something's wrong. Something dangerous.
Please, Elle.
Trust me." I peered back through the auditorium doors. Beckett's class was lining up at the side of the stage, his small frame fidgeting with excitement in his blue button-down shirt. The one he'd picked out specially. "This is crazy," I whispered, torn between rationality and the fear in my husband's voice. "Is this some kind of joke?" "It's not a joke, Elle. Trust me. Now." Something in his tone, raw, desperate, made my decision. I pushed through the side door leading backstage, ignoring the staff-only sign. Kids in colorful costumes looked up in surprise as I rushed past. I spotted Beckett in the lineup, practicing his lines under his breath. "Beck, honey, we need to go," I said, grabbing his hand. "Mom." He pulled back, eyes wide with embarrassment. "I'm about to go on." "I'm sorry, baby. It's an emergency." I knelt to his level, keeping my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Dad needs us." His teacher, Ms. Rivera, approached with concern. "Mrs. Raines? Parents aren't allowed backstage during the performance." "Family emergency," I said, already pulling Beckett toward the exit.
"I'm sorry."
We burst through the side door into the cool spring evening as the auditorium erupted in applause behind us. Beckett dragged his feet, confusion turning to anger. "Mom, what's happening?" "I practiced for weeks." I squeezed his hand, scanning the parking lot as we hurried toward our car. Dad called. "Something's wrong," and he asked us to leave. "But my dinosaur poem, everyone's going to see it except me." My phone rang again as I fumbled with the car keys. "Nolan, we're out," I said, my voice shaking. "Now tell me what the hell is going on." "Elle, are you clear of the building?" Nolan's voice crackled through the speaker. "Yes, we're in the parking lot." Beckett's upset, and I'm completely. The call dropped, leaving me staring at a blank screen. I tried calling back, straight to voicemail. "Mom?" Beckett's voice was small in the passenger seat. "Is Dad okay?" I forced a reassuring smile. "He's fine, honey. Just having some phone trouble." I turned the key, the engine roaring to life. "Let's go somewhere safe while we figure this out." As we pulled away from the school, I watched parents still streaming into the auditorium, completely unaware. What did Nolan know that they didn't? Inside Westlake Elementary, Dan Miller, the night janitor, was mopping the hallway outside the restrooms when he noticed a man hurrying toward the backstage area. The stranger's head was down, a baseball cap pulled low, a large duffel bag clutched in his right hand. "Excuse me," Dan called. "That area's restricted during the showcase." The man quickened his pace, disappearing through the door without responding. Dan frowned, reaching for his radio. "Hey, Jeff, there's someone heading backstage who doesn't look like he belongs. Dark jacket, baseball cap, carrying a big bag." Static answered him. He tried again, then noticed the security camera in the corner. Its usual red light was off. Something wasn't right. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I drove aimlessly, putting distance between us and the school. Beckett had gone quiet, staring out the window. "Where are we going?" he finally asked. "I'm not sure yet," I admitted. The truth was I had no plan, just blind trust in Nolan's warning. I pulled into a gas station parking lot and tried Nolan again. Still nothing. Making a decision, I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I hesitated, suddenly aware of how crazy I would sound. My husband called me from the school district office. He told me to take our son and leave his school immediately. He sounded scared. Is there a specific threat you're reporting, ma'am? I don't know. The call dropped, but my husband wouldn't panic without reason. What school is this regarding? Westlake Elementary. The spring showcase is happening right now. And your husband works there? He's the IT specialist for the district. He saw something on his computer, something that scared him. The dispatcher's tone shifted slightly. We'll send officers to check it out. Where are you now? At the Shell station on Maple. Stay there. An officer will come to speak with you. I hung up, feeling oddly like I'd just made things worse. What if it was nothing? What if Nolan was wrong? Back at Westlake, Mrs. Diana Holcomb was helping fourth graders adjust their costumes when she noticed an unfamiliar duffel bag beside the prop table. Whose bag is this? She asked, looking around at the children. No one claimed it. Assuming a parent had left it, she unzipped it to check for identification. What she saw made her blood freeze. Wires. A timer. Metal pipes. Her scream pierced the backstage chatter. Children turned, confused, as she backed away. Everyone out, she yelled.
Now.
Principal Wilson rushed backstage. Diana, what's happening? She couldn't say the word with children present. Call 911. We need to evacuate. Wilson looked at the bag, his face draining of color. He ran to the stage, interrupting a performance. Ladies and gentlemen, his voice shook despite his effort to remain calm. We need to evacuate the building immediately. Please proceed calmly to the nearest exit. For one heartbeat, the audience sat frozen in confusion. Then someone shouted, "Bomb," and chaos erupted. Parents scrambled from their seats, some rushing toward the stage to find their children, others pushing toward exits. Teachers tried desperately to maintain order as students scattered in panic. Outside, the first police cars arrived, sirens wailing. I was still sitting in the gas station parking lot, trying to comfort Beckett, when my phone buzzed with text messages from other parents. Something happening at school. Police everywhere. They found something backstage. My stomach dropped. Nolan had been right. Mom, Beckett watched my face change. What's wrong? Before I could answer, a police cruiser pulled up beside us. A young officer approached, hand resting casually on his belt. Mrs. Raines? I'm Officer Taylor. Dispatch said you called about a concern at Westlake. My husband warned me. I started, but was interrupted by the officer's radio crackling to life. All units to Westlake Elementary. Suspicious device found on premises. Evacuation in progress. Officer Taylor's demeanor changed instantly. Stay here, he ordered, rushing back to his vehicle. I watched him speed away, lights flashing, as Beckett grabbed my arm. Mom, what's happening? Is someone trying to hurt my school? I pulled him close, my mind racing. I don't know, sweetie. But Dad knew something was wrong, and he kept us safe. When Nolan arrived at Westlake, the scene was chaos. Parents frantically searching for children, kids crying, police establishing a perimeter. He pushed through the crowd, flashing his district ID. My wife and son were inside. Elle and Beckett Raines. Sir, step back, an officer directed. We're accounting for everyone now. I'm the one who reported the threat. I work for the district. Nolan's voice rose. I saw the security breach. I called my wife to get out. His words caught the attention of a detective who approached with narrowed eyes. You knew about this beforehand? The detective gestured for another officer. We need to talk. Before Nolan could explain, he was being escorted to a police cruiser, hands secured behind his back. This is insane, he protested. I was trying to prevent this. Save it for the station, the detective replied coldly. From across the parking lot, Sarah Thompson spotted Nolan being detained. She filmed it on her phone, immediately posting, "They just arrested the guy who caused the panic at Westlake." By nightfall, the story had spun wildly out of control. Local news vans lined the street outside the police station. The headline scrolling across screens read, "IT specialist detained after school evacuation. False alarm or real threat?" I sat in our living room, Beckett finally asleep upstairs, watching in horror as a reporter speculated about Nolan's involvement. Sources say Raines warned his wife minutes before the device was discovered, raising questions about his knowledge of the threat. My phone rang. Tessa, my sister. Elle, what the hell is happening? Ryan just called and said Nolan's been arrested. He's being questioned. I corrected, though I wasn't sure of the difference anymore. He saw something on the school's network. He was trying to protect us. The news says it might have been a hoax.
What? No.
There was something there. All the parents are talking about it. Well, the police aren't confirming what they found. Just a suspicious device. I hung up feeling sick. How had Nolan become the villain in this story? An hour later, I was pacing the kitchen when headlights swept across our front window. I ran outside to find Nolan climbing wearily from a police cruiser. Nolan! I threw my arms around him. What happened? Are you okay? He looked exhausted, his eyes hollow. They think I overreacted. That I caused a panic over nothing. But the bag, everyone's saying they found something. They're calling it a device of concern, not confirmed as explosive. The bomb squad took it. But the detective kept asking if I was trying to prove a point about school security. We went inside, where Nolan collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. They're watching the wrong person, Elle. Tommy Alston is still out there. And I think he was targeting that showcase specifically. I sat beside him, taking his hand. The police have to believe you now. They don't want to. It's easier to blame the paranoid IT guy than to admit someone breached their security. A car engine rumbled outside, then went quiet. I peeked through the blinds to see a black sedan parked across the street. Nolan, I whispered, there's someone watching our house. He didn't even look up. I know. They followed me home. I checked on Beckett, finding him awake, sitting up in bed. Is Dad home? He asked, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. Yes, honey. Everything's okay now. I sat on the edge of his bed. Try to get some sleep. Mom, there was a man at school this week. He was asking us questions. My heart skipped. What man? What did he ask you? He said he was a new security guard. He wanted to know which doors we use at recess, and if the teachers check the bathrooms after lunch. I kept my voice steady despite my rising panic. What did he look like? Skinny, with a big red beard, and a funny laugh. Tommy Alston. It had to be. I kissed Beckett's forehead. Thank you for telling me. That's important. Downstairs, I repeated Beckett's story to Nolan. His face hardened. Tommy was there, scoping the place out. The police need to know this. Will they believe a 9-year-old when they didn't believe you? Before he could answer, my phone pinged with a news alert. School board issues statement. No credible threat found at Westlake Elementary. Morning brought a false sense of normalcy. Nolan was released without charges, but the damage was done. The news had painted him as either paranoid or a hoaxer, and the black sedan remained parked down the street, a silent reminder that we were being watched. Beckett stayed home from school. The district had canceled classes for the day, citing an abundance of caution, while simultaneously assuring parents that no real danger had existed. This doesn't make sense, I said, reading the school board's official statement on my phone. Due to an overreaction and false alarm, no threat was ever confirmed at Westlake Elementary. But they evacuated the entire school. Teachers were screaming. Nolan looked up from his laptop. They're covering it up. I can't access any of my reports from yesterday. Everything's been wiped. Can they do that? Someone with administrative privileges can. And guess who sits on the school board? Chief Wilson, the police chief's brother. I paced our kitchen, fury building. So, we're just supposed to pretend nothing happened? That you imagined everything. Until I can prove otherwise. He lowered his voice, glancing toward Beckett's room. Someone very powerful wants this buried, Elle. My phone rang, an unknown number. Mrs. Raines? This is Diana Holcomb. I teach fourth grade at Westlake. I recognized the name immediately, the teacher who found the bag. Mrs. Holcomb, are you okay? I heard you were the one who… I shouldn't be calling you, she interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I saw the news. What they're saying about your husband isn't right. What did you see? I found that bag. It wasn't just wires and pipes. There was a timer and a cell phone taped to it.
She paused.
And I wasn't the only one who saw it. Ask them why the bomb squad took it if it was nothing. Why are they lying?
I asked.
The spring showcase brings in major donors. The district can't afford a real security scare right now. Not with budget approvals next month. She hesitated. There's something else. I saw someone in the parking lot yesterday afternoon. A man I recognized, Tommy Alston. He used to work for the district. My blood ran cold. Red beard? Thin?
Yes.
How did you know? My son mentioned him. Said he was asking questions about the school layout. Listen, I have to go. But your husband was right to warn you. I just thought you should know that. After she hung up, I relayed the conversation to Nolan. We need to find Tommy, he said, before they make him disappear too. That afternoon, while Beckett napped, I drove to the address we had for Tommy Alston, an apartment complex on the edge of town. The manager confirmed he'd moved out months ago, leaving no forwarding address. As I returned to my car, a woman approached, early 30s, dark circles under her eyes, hospital scrubs under her jacket. You're looking for Tommy? She asked cautiously.
Yes.
Do you know him?
I'm Kiera.
His wife. She glanced around nervously. Ex-wife, technically, though the divorce isn't final. Do you know where he is?
No.
And that's probably for the best. She hugged herself against the spring chill. Why are you looking for him? I weighed my options, then decided on honesty. My husband works IT for the school district. He thinks Tommy might have been involved in what happened at Westlake yesterday. Kira's face paled. Oh God. He actually did it. Did what? What do you know? She led me to a bench nearby. After they fired him, Tommy changed. Became obsessed with revenge. He kept saying, they'll regret it. I'll make them all sorry. Regret firing him? It was more than that. Tommy believed he discovered something, corruption in the school board. Missing funds, falsified safety reports. When he tried to report it, they dismissed him as mentally unstable. Was he? I asked carefully. Tommy has issues, but he's not delusional. He showed me documents, maintenance budgets that never went to actual repairs, security upgrades that were approved but never installed. She looked down. Then he started talking about making a statement. Something public that couldn't be ignored. Like an attack on a school event. She nodded, tears forming. I tried to get him help. I really did. But he disappeared 2 months ago. She reached into her purse, handing me a crumpled note. He left this. The handwritten message chilled me. When they see what happens when they cut corners, no one will be able to look away. Have you shown this to the police? I tried. They said it was too vague to be a threat. Kira wiped her eyes. Is anyone hurt?
No.
They evacuated in time. Thank God. She stood to leave. I have to get to work. But Mrs. Raines? Be careful. Tommy wouldn't have done this alone. He's not capable of planning something like this by himself. When I returned home, Nolan was on the phone with his sister, Madison. His face was tense. Get her out now, he was saying. I don't care about her math test. Just do it. He hung up, turning to me. The system logs I saved to my personal drive, they show unauthorized access at Ridgeview Middle School too. Where Lily goes. Lily, our 11-year-old niece. You think there's another target? I think Tommy wasn't working alone. He showed me his screen. These breaches are too sophisticated. And look at this. The school board approved budget cuts to security systems at both schools last year, despite recommendations against it. Tommy's wife said he claimed to have found corruption in the board. Nolan's eyes widened. You found Kira? I nodded, sharing what she'd told me. As I finished, his phone buzzed with a news alert. Breaking. Former school district employee arrested in connection with Westlake incident. The article showed Tommy's mugshot, thin face, wild red beard, hollow eyes. They got him, I whispered. Too easy, Nolan said, skimming the article. He was picked up at a bus station, carrying plans of the school. It's like he wanted to be caught.
My phone rang, Madison. Don't good.
We got Lily out just in time. They found another device in the girls' bathroom at Ridgeview. They're evacuating now. I put the phone on speaker so Nolan could hear. Is everyone okay? He asked. Yes, but the police are saying it's connected to what happened at Westlake. That Tommy Alston had accomplices. After we hung up, Nolan and I sat in stunned silence, the reality sinking in. Someone on that board knows more than they're saying. I finally said, we need to go public with what we know. Who would believe us? The official story is already out there. Troubled ex-employees seeking revenge. Case closed. Then we find someone who will listen. A journalist. Nolan looked uncertain. We're being watched. Our phones are probably compromised. Then we'll be careful. I reached for my laptop. There's a reporter at the Herald, Angela Martinez. She exposed that corruption scandal at the mayor's office last year. It's risky. Riskier than doing nothing? Tommy said he wasn't alone. What if this is just the beginning? Nolan nodded slowly. Do it, but use a burner account. Don't use your name. I created a new email address and sent everything we had. The system logs Nolan had saved, Kira's statement, Beckett's description of Tommy at the school, Mrs. Holcomb's account of what she found. As I hit send, the black sedan outside our house started its engine. Someone's moving, Nolan said, peering through the blinds. We watched as the car pulled away, replaced minutes later by an unmarked police cruiser. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, I whispered. That night, I checked on Beckett one last time before bed. He was sleeping peacefully, unaware of the storm surrounding us. I brushed his dark hair from his forehead, thankful beyond words that he was safe. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something on his desk that hadn't been there before, a small dinosaur figurine I'd never seen. Nolan, I called softly. Did you buy Beckett a new toy? He appeared in the doorway, frowning.
No.
Why? I pointed to the figurine. That wasn't there this morning. Nolan picked it up carefully, turning it over in his hand. Taped to the bottom was a small piece of paper with 3 words. Watch your back. We weren't just being watched. Someone had been inside our home. Morning light filtered through our kitchen blinds as I made Beckett breakfast, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy. It had been 3 days since the incident at Westlake Elementary. 3 days of suspicious cars parked outside our home, of whispers following me at the grocery store, of Beckett asking when he could return to school. Mom, can I go to Jake's house today? Beckett asked, pushing his scrambled eggs around his plate. Not today, honey. Maybe next week. I forced a smile, not wanting to explain that Sarah Thompson had stopped returning my calls. That most of the parents now viewed us with suspicion. The doorbell rang, making me jump. Nolan appeared from his makeshift office in the dining room, motioning for me to stay back. Since finding the dinosaur toy in Beckett's room, we'd been on high alert. It's just the mail, Nolan called after checking through the peephole. I watched him retrieve a small pile of envelopes. His face darkened as he sorted through them, pausing at a plain white one with no return address. What is it? I asked when he returned to the kitchen. Wordlessly, he handed me the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper with typewritten words. Drop it. Think of your son. My hands trembled as I set it on the counter. These people were in our home, Nolan, while we were sleeping. My voice broke. They're threatening our child. Beckett looked up, suddenly attentive. Is something wrong? Nothing, Bud, Nolan said, ruffling his hair. Just boring grown-up stuff. Why don't you go play in your room for a bit? Once Beckett was upstairs, Nolan pulled me close.
We need to be smart about this, Elle.
The journalist you contacted. Has she responded? Nothing yet. I'd been checking the burner email account hourly. What if something happened to her? Let's not jump to conclusions. Nolan ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit he'd had since college. I'm going to the office today. I need to see if I can recover more evidence before they erase everything. Is that safe? Probably not. But neither is doing nothing. My phone buzzed with an incoming call, a block number. I hesitated before answering. Mrs. Raines. A man's voice. Unfamiliar. This is Principal Wilson from Westlake. I'm calling about Beckett's return to school. He's not ready yet, I said cautiously. I understand. But I wanted to personally assure you that the situation has been resolved. Tommy Alston acted alone, and he's in custody. There's no ongoing threat. Is that the official story now? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. A pause. Mrs. Raines, I'm trying to help your family move past this unfortunate incident. The board has approved a mandatory leave for your husband while we conduct our internal review. I thought you should know. Mandatory leave? You're suspending him for saving lives. The official reason is breach of protocol. Mr. Raines accessed restricted files without authorization and caused public panic by contacting you instead of security personnel. His voice hardened. Be grateful it's just administrative leave, not termination. After hanging up, I relayed the conversation to Nolan, who laughed humorlessly. Breach of protocol? I followed every procedure, documented everything. He shook his head. This is about silencing me. Why are they going to such lengths to cover this up? It's not just about budget cuts or donor panic anymore. I don't know, Elle, but I intend to find out. By afternoon, Nolan had left for the district office, armed with a small voice recorder hidden in his jacket pocket. I busied myself cleaning, trying to keep my mind off the threats, off the black car that had returned to its spot across the street. A news alert popped up on my phone. Local journalist missing, family concerned. The photo showed Angela Martinez, the very reporter I'd emailed our evidence to. Last seen leaving the Herald offices Tuesday evening. The article read, Martinez was reportedly working on an investigative piece. Police say there are no signs of foul play at this time. Tuesday evening, hours after I'd contacted her. My hands shook as I tried calling Nolan. Straight to voicemail. I was about to try again when there was a sharp knock at our back door. I froze, my heart pounding. Nobody used that entrance except close family. Moving quietly to the kitchen window, I peered out to see a woman in a baseball cap, sunglasses hiding most of her face. Mrs. Raines, she called softly. Please. I need to talk to you about Tommy. Kira Alston. Tommy's wife. I opened the door just enough to speak. You shouldn't be here. We're being watched. I know. That's why I came through your neighbor's yard. Her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. They arrested Tommy. But he's not talking, except to me. What did he say? He asked me to give you this. She slipped a folded note through the gap in the door. He said you'd know what to do with it. As soon as I took the paper, she turned and hurried away, disappearing between houses. I unfolded the note, reading Tommy's jagged handwriting. It was never about just me. Check the school's safe room camera. The safe room, a reinforced classroom designed as a shelter during emergencies. Every school in the district had one after the county passed security measures 3 years ago. I tried Nolan again. Still nothing. Making a decision, I called my sister. Tessa, I need a huge favor. Can Beckett stay with you for a few hours? An hour later, with Beckett safely at Tessa's, I drove to the district office. The receptionist recognized me immediately. Mrs. Raines, your husband left about 20 minutes ago. He seemed upset. Did he say where he was going? No, but he was with Mr. Patterson from the board. David Patterson, the board's vice president. My stomach knotted with worry. Back in my car, I finally got through to Nolan. Where are you? I demanded. I've been trying to reach you for hours. Elle, listen carefully. His voice was low, urgent. I'm at home. Patterson showed up, said he wanted to resolve the situation. But I think he was trying to intimidate me. Tommy sent a message. Something about the safe room camera at the school. The backup feeds. Nolan breathed. Of course. The main system was compromised, but the safe rooms have an independent backup that uploads to a secure cloud server. Can you access it? Not from home. The credentials are on my work laptop, the one that disappeared during the break-in. But you have other ways, right? I knew my husband well enough to know he always had contingency plans. A pause.
Yes.
Meet me at home. And Elle, be careful. I think we're getting close to something they really don't want found. Our house was eerily quiet when I returned. Nolan sat at the dining room table, his personal laptop open, lines of code scrolling across the screen. "I'm in," he said without looking up, using an old administrative backdoor. They never bothered to change the default passwords on the backup systems. I leaned over his shoulder as he navigated through folders, finally opening a video file dated the day before the showcase. The grainy footage showed the safe room at Westlake, empty except for storage bins and emergency supplies. The timestamp read 7:43 p.m. There, Nolan pointed as the door opened. Two men entered, one I recognized immediately as David Patterson. The other was a stranger, tall and lean, with military short hair. They spoke briefly, Patterson gesturing around the room. The stranger nodded, setting down a large case similar to a toolbox. They left together, the stranger carrying nothing. "He left something in there," I whispered. "And I bet it wasn't school supplies." Nolan fast-forwarded. At 11:27 p.m., the door opened again. This time, it was Tommy Alston who entered, looking nervously over his shoulder. He went straight to where the case had been placed, opening it. His expression changed from determination to confusion, then horror. He closed it quickly, backing away. "Tommy found whatever they planted," Nolan said. "But he didn't take it." "Then what was in the bag Mrs. Holcomb found backstage?" Nolan's eyes met mine, a terrible realization dawning.
A decoy.
Something meant to be found and defused, making the school board look like heroes for their quick response. But that doesn't make sense. Why plan a real device at all? Why not just fake the whole thing? Because they needed a credible threat to justify increased security funding. Patterson chairs the budget committee. He's been pushing for a private security contract worth millions. With who? Nolan pulled up a browser window, typing rapidly. Sentinel Security Solutions. Founded by former military personnel, specializing in school safety systems. He clicked on the company's leadership page. And look who's their chief of operations. The same man from the video, identified as James Reeves, former Army Ranger. They staged a threat, I said, the pieces falling into place. Used Tommy as a scapegoat. But he wasn't supposed to find that device in the safe room. And now they're trying to bury it all. The missing journalist, the threats, my suspension, they're eliminating loose ends.
My phone rang, Tessa.
Elle, there's a man here asking about Beckett. He says he's from the school, but I've never seen him before. My blood ran cold. Don't let him in. Call the police. We're on our way. As we grabbed our keys, Nolan's laptop pinged with an email alert. He glanced at the screen. It's from the district attorney's office. They want to meet tomorrow to discuss the situation. We need to go public with this now, I said, before they can stop us. Nolan nodded grimly. The school board meeting is tomorrow night. Live streamed to the whole district. Then, that's our moment. The district attorney's office was housed in a red brick building downtown, its imposing columns designed to inspire confidence in the justice system. As we climbed the steps the next morning, I felt anything but confident. Kevin Walsh, the DA, met us in his wood-paneled office, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Mr. and Mrs. Raines, thank you for coming in." He gestured to the chairs opposite his desk. "I understand you've had a difficult week." "That's putting it mildly," Nolan replied. "Our home was broken into, our son threatened, and a journalist we contacted has vanished." Walsh's expression remained neutral. "Strong allegations. Do you have evidence of these claims?" I pulled out the threatening note we'd received. "This was in our mailbox yesterday. Our son found a threatening message in his room the night before. And you believe this is connected to the incident at Westlake?" "We know it is," I said firmly. "Just like we know Tommy Alston is being framed as a lone wolf when he's actually a pawn in David Patterson's security contract scheme." Walsh's eyebrows rose slightly, the first genuine reaction we'd seen. That's quite a theory. It's not a theory, Nolan said, placing a flash drive on the desk. We have the backup security footage showing Patterson and James Reeves from Sentinel Security planting something in the school's safe room the night before the showcase. Walsh picked up the drive, turning it over in his hand. I'll review this, of course. But I must caution you against making public accusations without proper verification. We're telling you so you can do your job. I leaned forward. Investigate Patterson. Look into the connection between the board and Sentinel. Find Angela Martinez. The missing reporter? Walsh's tone was dismissive. She's not missing. She's on assignment in Chicago. Her office confirmed it this morning. Nolan and I exchanged glances. Either Walsh was lying, or someone was covering Angela's absence. We're going public tonight, Nolan said. At the board meeting. People deserve to know what really happened and what was planned. Walsh's smile disappeared entirely. I wouldn't advise that. Not while there's an ongoing investigation. It could be seen as obstruction. Investigation into what? Tommy's already in custody. The case is supposedly closed. There are complexities you're not aware of. Walsh slid the flash drive into his desk drawer. Give me 48 hours to review your evidence. Stay quiet until then. And if we don't, I challenged. His eyes hardened. Then I can't guarantee your family's safety, from legal consequences or otherwise. The threat hung in the air as we left his office, shaken but more determined than ever. He's with them, Nolan said once we were in the car. Or at least, he's been convinced to look the other way. Then we stick to the plan. Tonight, we expose everything. The school board meeting was held in the Westlake Elementary auditorium, the very room that had been evacuated days earlier. Rows of chairs faced the stage where board members sat behind a long table, David Patterson at the center. We arrived early, taking seats near the back where we could observe everyone entering. Parents filled the room, many casting suspicious glances our way. Did you reach Mrs. Holcomb? I whispered to Nolan. He nodded. She'll be here. So will Kira. At precisely 7 p.m., Patterson called the meeting to order, his voice echoing through the sound system. Before we address the agenda, I'd like to thank everyone for their calm response to last week's incident. Thanks to our security protocols, a potential threat was identified and neutralized without injury. The individual responsible is in custody and normal operations have resumed at all district schools. Murmurs of approval rippled through the audience. Now, as we move forward, the board will be voting tonight on enhanced security measures to ensure such incidents never occur. I'm pleased to introduce James Reeves from Sentinel Security Solutions, who will outline the proposed upgrades. The tall man from the video stepped to the podium, his polished manner exuding authority. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. In light of recent events, Sentinel has developed a comprehensive security package tailored to this district's needs. As Reeves detailed surveillance systems, armed personnel, and proactive threat assessment, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Diana Holcomb slid into the seat behind us. I brought something, she whispered, passing me a folded paper. The police report I filed about what I found backstage. The official version has been changed, but I kept my copy. I scanned the document. Her detailed description of the device contradicted the harmless prop narrative the board had pushed. At the podium, Reeves concluded his presentation. With these measures in place, we can guarantee the safety of every student in this district. Patterson stood. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. The board will now vote on the proposed $4.2 million security contract. I rose from my seat. Before you vote, I have information relevant to this discussion. Patterson's smile froze. This isn't a public comment period, Mrs. Raines. When exactly is the public comment period scheduled for discussing how you staged a fake threat to justify this contract? My voice carried through the auditorium, causing gasps from the audience. That's an outrageous accusation, Patterson sputtered. Security, please escort Mrs. Raines out. 2 security guards moved toward me, but several parents stood up, blocking their path. Let her speak, someone called. We have a right to know. Nolan joined me, laptop in hand. We have security footage showing Mr. Patterson and Mr. Reeves planting something in the safe room the night before the showcase. The room erupted in confused chatter as we made our way to the stage. I noticed Kira Alston slip in through the side door, accompanied by a woman I recognized from news photos, Angela Martinez, looking pale but determined. "This is absurd," Patterson declared, signaling frantically to the security team. "These people are disturbed. Their wild theories have already caused enough disruption." "Then you won't mind if we play this footage for everyone?" Nolan connected his laptop to the projection system before anyone could stop him. The grainy video appeared on the screen behind the board members, showing Patterson and Reeves entering the safe room. The audience fell silent, watching. "That proves nothing," Patterson scoffed. "We were conducting a routine security check." "Then why did you leave a case behind?" I challenged. "A case that Tommy Alston later discovered and was horrified by." From the back of the room, Kira's voice rang out. "My husband was set up. He found her device and tried to remove it before anyone got hurt." Angela Martinez stepped forward, recorder in hand. "I've spent the last 3 days interviewing Tommy Alston in custody. He's provided a full statement describing how he discovered the device and attempted to disarm it." "Where have you been?" I asked her. "Your office reported you missing." "Detained by private security contractors," she replied, glaring at Reeves. "Until a sympathetic guard helped me escape this morning." Mrs. Holcomb stood up next. "I found the device backstage. It wasn't a hoax. It had wires, a timer, and a detonator. I have my original police report right here, before it was altered." The room was in chaos now, parents demanding answers, board members shifting uncomfortably in their seats. "Mrs. Raines," a small voice called from the side of the stage. Beckett had slipped away from Tessa, who stood nervously at the auditorium entrance. "Beckett, honey, go back to Aunt Tessa," I urged. But he stepped forward, eyes fixed on Reeves. "That's him. The man who told me to leave through the side door before the play." Reeves paled visibly, while Patterson lunged for the microphone. "This meeting is adjourned. Everyone, please." The doors at the back of the auditorium burst open. Police officers streamed in, led by a tall woman in a suit. "FBI, judging by the badge," she held up. "David Patterson, James Reeves," she announced. "You're under arrest for conspiracy, endangerment of minors, and obstruction of justice." As the agents handcuffed the stunned board member on live stream, a strange calm washed over me. The truth was finally out. For months past, summer gave way to early autumn, painting our new neighborhood in shades of gold and crimson. We'd moved across town, away from the memories and lingering stares. Our new house was smaller, but it felt safer, a fresh start. I stood in our kitchen, unpacking the last of the boxes, when Nolan came in with the mail. "Letter from the district," he said, handing me an official envelope. Inside was a formal reinstatement notice, along with a substantial back pay check. After Patterson's arrest, the investigation had expanded, revealing a network of corruption that reached beyond the school board to the mayor's office. 5 officials now face charges, including DA Walsh. "Are you going back?" I asked, studying Nolan's face. "I don't know." He looked out the window at Beckett, who was shooting baskets in our new driveway. "Part of me wants to make sure their security is actually fixed this time. The other part never wants to set foot in that office again." The truth had emerged in pieces over the summer. Patterson and Reeves had indeed planted a real device in the safe room, one designed to create panic but cause minimal damage. Their plan was to discover it during the showcase, evacuate the school, and emerge as heroes, justifying the massive security contract with Sentinel. What they hadn't counted on was Tommy Alston finding it first. Tormented by guilt over not reporting what he'd found immediately, Tommy had returned the next evening to remove the device, only to be spotted by the janitor. In his panic, he'd left the bag backstage, creating the very chaos Patterson had planned, just not on his terms. "The Tribune called again," I said. "They want an exclusive interview." "What did you tell them?" "The same thing as always, no comment. We declined all interview requests, focusing instead on helping Beckett heal." The attention had been overwhelming at first: news vans, social media speculation, even a Hollywood producer inquiring about rights to our story. All we wanted was normalcy. PTA meeting tomorrow, Nolan reminded me, changing the subject. Are you still going? I nodded. After everything that happened, I'd become more involved in school safety, joining the newly formed Parent Watchdogs Committee at Beckett's new school. We worked directly with administration on security protocols, ensuring transparency and accountability. First day back for Beckett on Monday, I said, watching our son dribble his basketball. How do you think he'll do? The transition had been difficult. Nightmares, separation anxiety, a lingering fear of crowded spaces. But kids are resilient. Week by week, the old Beckett had begun to re-emerge, laughing more, worrying less. He'll be okay, Nolan said with quiet confidence. He's stronger than we give him credit for.
The doorbell rang.
We both tensed, an old reflex that hadn't quite faded. I'll get it, Nolan said, moving cautiously to the front door. He returned moments later with a small package. No sender information. We examined it carefully before opening it. Paranoia was our new normal. Inside was a plain, white envelope. I held my breath as Nolan slid out a photograph, the empty auditorium at Westlake Elementary, sunlight streaming through high windows. A single word was written on the back: safe. Who would send this? I whispered. Maybe Mrs. Holcomb? Or one of the parents from the committee. Diana Holcomb had become an unexpected ally, testifying against Patterson and advocating for the teachers who'd been silenced. Many families had reached out after the truth emerged, apologizing for doubting us. Even my sister Tessa, who'd initially accused me of overreacting, had become our strongest supporter. She'd been the one to alert the FBI after witnessing the strange man asking about Beckett at her house. It doesn't matter who sent it, I said, setting the photo on our new mantle. What matters is that it's true. The kids are safe now. That evening, we drove along the coast, windows down, music playing softly. Beckett dozed in the back seat, exhausted from an afternoon of play. Nolan reached across the console and took my hand. You know what I keep thinking about? He asked. What? That phone call. If you hadn't answered. If you hadn't listened. I squeezed his hand. But I did. We drove in comfortable silence, the setting sun painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. In the rearview mirror, I could see Beckett's peaceful face, his chest rising and falling with each breath. The road ahead curved along the shoreline, leading away from the past and toward whatever future awaited us. Not perfect, certainly. There would be more challenges, more healing needed. But we would face it together. We think safety is a given, I said softly, echoing the words I'd written in my blog, a space where I'd found my voice advocating for school security reform. It's not. Sometimes it takes one voice, one warning, one call, to save everything that matters. Nolan nodded, understanding. And sometimes it takes the courage to listen. Behind us, Beckett stirred, opening his eyes. Are we there yet? He mumbled. I smiled at him in the mirror. Not yet, sweetheart. But we're on our way. And we were. Not just to our destination that evening, but to something larger, a new chapter where fear no longer dominated our days. Where a phone call was just a phone call, not a harbinger of danger. Where school was a place of learning, not terror. The road stretched before us, bathed in the day's final light. Whatever came next, we would face it as we had faced everything else. Together. Alert. Unafraid. What would you risk to expose a terrible truth when everyone, even those sworn to protect, wants it buried? If you found yourself caught in this family's nightmare, please hit like, subscribe, and share for more stories that ask the questions we're afraid to answer.